What if everything you've been doing to fight anxiety is actually making it worse? Take a moment and notice your body. Are your shoulders tight? Your jaw clenched? Maybe there's a knot in your stomach worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet. You might have tried deep breathing, positive affirmations, or meditation apps promising calm, but somehow the anxiety keeps coming back. Here's the paradox that ancient Buddhist masters understood thousands of years ago. Trying to eliminate anxiety is exactly what traps you in it. The more you struggle, the stronger it becomes. That's because anxiety isn't the enemy. It's a signal, a messenger from your mind and body showing you where resistance lives. So, what if the answer isn't to fight or fix it, but to shift the way you relate to it? Today, we'll explore how you can step off the exhausting treadmill of trying to control your feelings and instead cultivate awareness that transforms anxiety from a storm into a passing cloud. Imagine noticing the rise and fall of anxious thoughts, recognizing them without judgment, and realizing that you are the awareness observing them, not the thoughts themselves. This isn't about pretending anxiety doesn't exist or making it magically disappear. It's about reclaiming your relationship with your mind, seeing clearly what's happening, and learning that freedom comes from acceptance, curiosity, and gentle presence. In the next few minutes, we'll go deeper into practical ways inspired by timeless Buddhist wisdom to turn anxiety into insight and transform how you experience every moment. By the end of this video, you'll see that the path to peace of mind isn't in eliminating anxiety, but in learning to meet it with clarity and compassion. And that simple shift can change everything. As we begin, let's take a moment to ground ourselves in a simple truth. Anxiety is not a fixed problem. It is energy, flowing through the body and mind, shifting moment to moment. The tight chest, fluttering stomach, racing thoughts, and restless heartbeats are all part of this ever-changing landscape. But here's something profound. The real suffering often isn't coming from anxiety itself. It comes from how we relate to it. Now we are going to step into the first part of today's video, understanding anxiety in the second arrow. Imagine your hands trembling before a presentation. That trembling is the first arrow, the immediate, unavoidable sensation of anxiety. But when your mind starts adding commentary, I'll fail, they'll notice. Why am I always like this? You've fired the second arrow. That second arrow is self-judgment, resistance, and fear, magnifying your suffering far beyond the initial experience. Many people fight the first arrow instinctively. We try to suppress it, distract ourselves, or reason it away. But the harder we fight, the more entrenched the second arrow becomes. It's like trying to push a river upstream. Resistance only creates more turbulence. The lesson from Buddhist insight is radical yet simple. Stop adding the second arrow. Don't fight the anxiety, observe it. When you step back, you begin to notice patterns. Anxiety is not one thing. It is a collection of sensations, thoughts, and emotions, each impermanent and transient. Your pounding heart, nervous thoughts, and queasy stomach are like clouds passing across a wide sky. You are the sky, vast and unshakable, holding all of it without being consumed. This perspective is transformative. By recognizing that the second arrow is optional, you start dissolving layers of unnecessary suffering. Let's try a practical exercise. Next time you feel that familiar spike of anxiety, pause. Ask yourself, where do I feel this in my body? How does it shift? What stories is my mind spinning right now? Notice without trying to change anything. Here's the key. You are not your thoughts, not your sensations. You are the awareness that observes them. The moment you see that, the second arrow begins to fade. Think about it in daily life. You're walking into a meeting, your stomach twists, and tension rises in your shoulders. The first arrow is unavoidable. The second arrow, fear of judgment, self-criticism, what if I mess up, is optional. By simply noticing and allowing the first arrow, by observing rather than reacting, anxiety stops controlling you. It may still be present, but it no longer dictates your choices, your words, or your confidence. This practice is not about making anxiety vanish. It will still arise because that's the nature of being human. It's about reclaiming freedom from the suffering we layer on top of it. Imagine standing on a beach, watching waves crash at your feet. The waves, anxiety, come and go. You can feel the spray, hear the roar, but you are not swept away. That's the liberation we aim for. To feel anxiety fully yet remain unshaken, present in the vast sky of awareness. By embracing this insight, we transform how we live with anxiety. No longer a chain around our mind, it becomes a teacher, a signal, a reminder of our humanity. The first arrow is life, the second arrow is optional. And once we stop firing the second arrow, we begin to experience clarity, presence, and a peace that isn't contingent on circumstances. Having seen how anxiety arises and how the second arrow amplifies our suffering, we can now take a step further. In fact, the way we approach anxiety shapes every moment of our inner experience. If we keep resisting it, we remain trapped. But what if we could turn toward it with curiosity rather than fear? This is the heart of the next part of today's video, transforming your relationship with anxiety. Imagine anxiety as a river. When you struggle against the current, you exhaust yourself fighting a force you cannot control. But if you step into the water with awareness, letting it flow around you, something remarkable happens. You discover the rhythm of the river, its patterns, its textures. Anxiety, like the river, is not your enemy. It is energy, dynamic and shifting, inviting you to observe and learn. The first step in this transformation is simple yet profound. Notice the components of anxiety. Where in your body do you feel it? The tightening in your chest, the fluttering in your stomach, the tension in your shoulders. What thoughts accompany it? The predictions of disaster, the endless what-ifs. What emotions are surfacing? Fear, dread, unease. By observing these elements individually, rather than as a chaotic whole, you create a sense of space. This practice is the essence of mindfulness. And here's a key insight. Mindfulness isn't about feeling calm or erasing discomfort. It is about seeing clearly. It is the deliberate act of noticing what is, without judgment, and recognizing that you are not your sensations nor your thoughts. You are the awareness that witnesses them. This awareness forms a bridge between stimulus and response. In that space, choice emerges. You are no longer reacting automatically. You can respond wisely, gently, and with presence. Try this for yourself. The next time anxiety rises, pause. Breathe into it. Ask, where do I feel this in my body? What story is my mind spinning? Notice the sensations. Acknowledge the thoughts and let them be. Do not push them away. You are not required to like the feelings. You are simply invited to witness them with curiosity. Over time, this practice softens the intensity of anxiety. You begin to realize the anxiety itself is transient. It flows, shifts, and ultimately passes. Consider an example. You are preparing for a presentation, and tension coils in your stomach. Instead of telling yourself, I must get rid of this, you notice the sensation, explore it, and follow its rhythm. Your mind might panic, but you remain the observer. In doing so, you break the chain of the second arrow. The anxiety no longer spirals into self-criticism, fear, or resistance. You meet it with curiosity, turning a source of suffering into a teacher, a guide toward presence. This approach is deeply liberating. By transforming your relationship with anxiety, you discover that inner freedom doesn't come from eliminating discomfort. It comes from seeing clearly and responding skillfully. Anxiety may still appear, waves rising and falling like tides, but you are anchored in awareness. You are the sky that holds every cloud without being consumed. Ultimately, this transformation invites a shift in identity. No longer are you defined by anxious thoughts or uneasy sensations. You are the awareness behind them, the observer, the silent witness. And in this space, you find calm, not because anxiety disappears, but because you are no longer adding fuel to it. Life begins to feel lighter, more vibrant, and more present. Anxiety becomes a teacher, not a tyrant, guiding you into the richness of the present moment. As we've explored how observing anxiety transforms our experience, the next step naturally follows. Releasing the need to control it. Anxiety, when met with struggle, only deepens our suffering. Every attempt to force it away is like trying to stop the wind with your hands. The more you resist, the stronger it seems to blow. And so we arrive at the next part of today's video, letting go of control and embracing acceptance. Here we will explore how true freedom arises, not from fighting anxiety, but from acknowledging it fully. Imagine you are holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. The moment you open your hand, letting it flow naturally, you feel its weight lighten, its texture come alive. Anxiety works in a similar way. The act of resisting it, judging it, or trying to manipulate it only strengthens its grip. Acceptance, in contrast, is the art of opening your hand, allowing what is to simply be. Acceptance does not mean you enjoy anxiety, nor does it mean you condone it. It means recognizing the present moment as it is, without creating extra layers of struggle. It is the realization that the true source of suffering is not the anxiety itself, but the fear of it, the tension of trying to control what cannot be controlled. When we stop adding that extra layer, the mind naturally relaxes and clarity begins to emerge. One practical approach to cultivating this acceptance is the reshapes practice. First, recognize. Notice the anxiety, name it, and acknowledge its presence without judgment. Feel where it resides in your body, observe the thoughts it generates, and simply say, I see you. Second, allow. Give the anxiety permission to exist. You do not have to fix it, explain it, or run from it. Allowing is not surrendering weakness. It is a courageous choice to witness reality as it is. Third, investigate. Explore the anxiety with gentle curiosity. Ask yourself, what is happening inside me? What is this thought trying to tell me? How does this sensation change if I simply notice it? By turning toward it rather than away, you transform anxiety from a threat into a teacher. And finally, nurture. Bring compassion to yourself, offering the same kindness you would extend to a loved one who is suffering. Speak to yourself softly, acknowledging that being human means experiencing anxiety and that it is okay to struggle. Through this process, something remarkable happens. Anxiety gradually loses its power over you. The tension in your chest, the racing thoughts, the fear that I can't handle this, all of these begin to soften. You realize that what once felt like a storm threatening to uproot your life is actually a transient pattern of energy, rising and falling like waves. You remain the observer, the sky that holds the storm without being consumed. Consider a moment in daily life. Your mind races with worries about a future event. Instead of trying to push those thoughts away, you pause, breathe, and recognize them. You allow them to exist without adding judgment. You investigate the sensation, noting the flutter in your stomach or tightness in your chest. You nurture yourself with understanding. It is natural to feel this way. I am here. I am safe. By practicing this repeatedly, you internalize a profound truth. Control is an illusion, but awareness and acceptance are real and tangible. Ultimately, letting go of control and embracing acceptance invites a sense of spaciousness within. Anxiety is no longer a tyrant dictating your actions, but a signal, a teacher, a reminder of your presence. You become empowered not by eliminating discomfort, but by seeing clearly, responding with compassion, and living fully in each moment. And as we continue in this video, we will move into the next section. How cultivating mindfulness and gratitude amplifies this sense of freedom, guiding you toward a life less dominated by anxiety and more aligned with presence and joy. Having explored how accepting anxiety frees us from its grip, it's time to move our attention to another crucial insight, the nature of our thoughts and the power of the present moment. We'll call this section Understanding Thoughts and Anchoring in the Present, and this is what we will dive into next in today's video. So often our minds mistake thoughts for reality. A worry arises about something that might happen tomorrow, and suddenly we feel threatened, stressed, and paralyzed as if the danger is already here. Thoughts are not facts. They are transient phenomena, like clouds drifting across the sky of consciousness. They rise, they linger, they morph, and they disappear. Anxiety thrives when we treat these clouds as permanent storms rather than passing shapes in the mind. Consider this. Your mind conjures a scenario where you fail at a work presentation. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and your mind floods with self-criticism. This is a typical anxious projection, an imagined future, not the present reality. The danger isn't the actual event, but the story we tell ourselves about it. And that story, amplified by resistance, fuels unnecessary suffering. The more we cling to these thoughts, the more power they have over us. Practicing presence is the antidote. By gently bringing attention to what is happening right now, you discover that the present moment is far less threatening than your projections. You are breathing. You are seated. You are safe. The storm exists primarily in your mind, not in your current reality. This realization doesn't minimize legitimate challenges. Instead, it allows you to respond more wisely and effectively. One of the transformative aspects of mindfulness is learning to differentiate between practical preparation and useless worry. Preparation is action-oriented, planning, rehearsing, and taking steps that actually influence outcomes. Worry without action, on the other hand, is a mental loop that creates suffering without changing circumstances. Observing this distinction is liberating. You begin to see that much of your anxiety has been about scenarios that haven't and may never happen, and that the present, when observed carefully, is remarkably safe. You can practice anchoring in the present by focusing on physical sensations or your breath. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the feeling of your feet on the floor, or the subtle sounds around you. Thoughts will appear, but instead of chasing them or judging yourself, acknowledge them as mental events and gently return to the here and now. With consistent practice, this space between thought and awareness expands, allowing you to respond rather than react, to act from clarity rather than fear. Imagine walking through a garden while thinking about a stressful meeting tomorrow. You might miss the sunlight, the fragrance of flowers, or the gentle breeze. But when you pause and notice the sensations around you, the mind softens, anxiety relaxes, and the moment becomes full of life. The present is always richer than imagined futures or regretful pasts. It's where true freedom resides. Understanding thoughts and anchoring in the present is not a denial of life's challenges. It is a recognition that the mind has a remarkable tendency to dramatize and forecast, often unnecessarily. By training yourself to return to the here and now, you reclaim your energy, reduce the grip of anxiety, and cultivate a life grounded in reality rather than illusion. As we move forward, we will now reach the next section in today's video: mindful meditation in action. Here, we will explore how cultivating mindfulness transforms the way we experience anxiety and opens the door to a more grounded, clear, and compassionate life. Many people approach meditation thinking it is about emptying the mind, stopping thoughts, or forcing calm. But true mindfulness is very different. It's not about suppression, it's about attentive curiosity toward the present moment. Imagine your mind as a river, constantly flowing with thoughts, sensations, and emotions. Meditation doesn't stop the river. It teaches you to watch it, notice the currents, and understand its rhythm without being swept away. When anxiety arises during meditation, the instinct is often to fight it, to push it away, or to mentally fix it. Yet Buddhism teaches us that this resistance is the root of suffering. Anxiety is an energy, a combination of bodily sensations, mental patterns, and emotional fluctuations, always in motion. When we resist, we add a second layer of suffering, a second arrow that magnifies the original discomfort. In mindful meditation, instead of reacting, we observe. We notice the tightness in our chest, the flutter in our stomach, or the racing thoughts without judgment. We approach these experiences with curiosity. What is happening in this moment? How does it feel? By simply observing, we allow the anxiety to exist without our interference. This is not passive resignation, it is active presence. Understanding the distinction between pain and suffering is crucial. Pain, like the body's physical sensations, emotional unease, or uncertainty, is an unavoidable part of life. Suffering, however, is the extra layer we create by resisting, fearing, or over-identifying with our pain. Imagine touching a hot stove. The burn itself is pain. The story you tell yourself afterward, I shouldn't feel this. This is unbearable. Why me? That's suffering. Mindfulness meditation teaches us to remove this layer of resistance. By observing and accepting, the burn still exists, but it no longer dominates your mind and emotions. This practice has ripple effects beyond the meditation cushion. When we learn to meet anxiety with awareness, we no longer act purely out of fear. Choices emerge from clarity rather than reaction. A difficult conversation, a challenging task at work, or a stressful social situation can be approached with a calm and grounded mind. Anxiety might still appear, but it doesn't dictate our behavior anymore. Let's illustrate this with a simple exercise you can try right now. Take a few breaths and notice any tension in your body. Where is it? How does it feel? Without trying to change it, simply observe. Next, notice any thoughts accompanying these sensations. Perhaps they are predictions about the future, judgments about yourself, or memories that spark unease. Acknowledge them, and then gently return to the present moment, the breath, the bodily sensations, the environment around you. This is mindfulness in action. It doesn't remove the anxiety but changes your relationship with it. Over time, consistent practice rewires the brain. Neural pathways supporting awareness and calm strengthen, while habitual patterns of reactivity weaken. You start to recognize that you are not your anxious thoughts or sensations. You are the consciousness observing them. Anxiety becomes less solid, less overwhelming. It's no longer something to be feared, but a phenomenon to be met with curiosity and compassion. Mindful meditation is not a quick fix. It's a training in presence. Each moment of attention, each act of noticing without judgment, slowly erodes the automatic patterns that feed suffering. And from this place of clarity, wise action naturally emerges. By removing the added layer of resistance, we discover a profound freedom. The freedom to experience life fully, even in the presence of uncertainty and anxiety. Now that we've explored how mindfulness allows us to observe our anxiety without judgment, let's turn our attention inward and deepen this awareness by exploring our body and present sensations. This brings us to the next part of today's video. Exploring your body and present sensations. Here we will uncover how deeply tuning into our physical sensations can transform our relationship with anxiety, helping us feel grounded and more in control of our responses. Anxiety isn't only a story your mind tells, it also manifests vividly in the body. Perhaps you feel your heart racing, your stomach tight, your shoulders tense, or your jaw clenched. These physical sensations are often the first signals of anxious energy, but most of us either ignore them or try to fight them. Yet Buddhism teaches that these sensations are neither enemies nor signs of weakness. They are messages, indicators of what is happening in the present moment. The first step is simple but profound. Notice. Instead of rushing to fix your racing heart or tense shoulders, just observe. Where do you feel the energy of anxiety? Is it pulsing, contracting, shifting? By simply observing with curiosity, you create a subtle but powerful space between the experience and your reaction. Imagine looking at clouds passing in the sky. You see them, note their shape and movement, but you do not try to stop them. In the same way, you watch your sensations without judgment. Conscious breathing is a vital companion to this practice. Take slow, deliberate breaths, feeling the rise and fall of your chest and belly. Let the breath be a bridge connecting you to this very moment. As your attention anchors to the rhythm of your inhalation and exhalation, you may notice the intensity of sensations begins to soften. You are no longer carried automatically by the waves of anxiety. You are riding them with awareness rather than being tossed by them. It's important to recognize that these sensations are never static. They shift, fluctuate, and eventually pass. Perhaps the tight knot in your stomach eases, or the fluttering in your chest transforms into a lighter energy. This impermanence is a reminder that anxiety, like all experiences, is transient. By observing this constant change, you reduce the sense that anxiety controls you. Instead, you see it as a temporary visitor, one that you can meet with awareness and gentle curiosity. Notice how much freedom arises from this small shift. The moment you create space between sensation and reaction, you can choose how to respond. Maybe you pause before reacting to a stressful email. Maybe you take a moment to stretch, breathe, or step outside instead of succumbing to panic. The very act of paying attention to your body interrupts automatic patterns of fear and allows wisdom to emerge naturally. Think of this practice as a form of inner cartography. By mapping the landscape of your body and sensations, you begin to recognize the subtle signals that precede anxious thoughts. This awareness doesn't eliminate anxiety, but it gives you a choice. Respond with old habits of avoidance and resistance, or respond with curiosity, acceptance, and clarity. Over time, your nervous system becomes more adaptable. The body no longer reacts in constant alarm. The mind no longer spirals uncontrollably. Even brief moments of focused awareness can have profound effects. Notice a tight shoulder, breathe into it, and allow it to soften. Feel a flutter in the stomach and observe its rhythm. Each moment of mindful attention is a practice of freedom, a small training in resilience that compounds over time. You are cultivating the skill to meet life as it is, rather than being swept away by it. Exploring your body and present sensations is not merely a meditative exercise. It is a fundamental shift in how we relate to ourselves. It transforms anxiety from an overwhelming force into a phenomenon to be witnessed, understood, and met with care. The more you practice, the more you realize that you are not your anxiety. You are the awareness that perceives it, vast, patient, and unshakable. Having explored how tuning into our body and present sensations grounds us, we can take this awareness into our daily life. Let's move into the next part of today's video. Mindful actions and slow living, where we'll see how acting with intention and slowing down transforms both our mind and our experience of the world. Often, anxiety escalates when we move through life on autopilot, rushing from task to task, checking our phones, or trying to solve problems before they even arise. Our mind becomes a treadmill of worry, planning, and unfinished thoughts, leaving little space for presence. Mindful living invites us to pause, to slow down, and to approach each moment as if it were the first time we were experiencing it. Imagine taking a single step while fully feeling your foot connect with the ground. Notice the subtle weight shift, the tension in your calf, the sensation of balance. This simple act, repeated in daily movements, walking, eating, pouring tea, or typing an email, opens the doorway to presence. Anxiety begins to soften, not because it disappears, but because we stop fueling it with rushing, multitasking, and distraction. Practicing slow living allows our attention to settle. When you wash the dishes, feel the temperature of the water, the texture of the plate, and the rhythm of your hands. When you eat, savor each bite, the aroma, the flavor, the way your body digests the nourishment. Each action, done mindfully, transforms ordinary moments into small meditative experiences. This is not about perfection or completing tasks flawlessly. It's about bringing your mind home to the present. As we slow down, we also cultivate patience with ourselves. Life isn't a series of tasks to conquer. It's a sequence of experiences to inhabit. Mindful actions help us notice subtle patterns in our reactions. Impatience when traffic slows, tension when emails pile up, frustration at a missed appointment. Instead of reacting automatically, we gain the space to respond wisely. A deliberate pause can turn irritation into understanding, haste into clarity, and stress into curiosity. The benefits ripple outward. Relationships improve because we are genuinely present with others, listening fully, making eye contact, and responding with empathy instead of reflex. Our own satisfaction deepens as we savor experiences instead of racing past them. Over time, slow living nurtures a sense of wholeness, as though each moment, no matter how small, carries significance. Anxiety loses its grip because we are no longer running from it or against time. We are simply present with the flow of life. In modern life, it's easy to think that speed equals productivity and success. But mindfulness teaches us that quality of presence, not quantity of action, determines the peace we feel. Even when challenges arise, mindful living allows us to meet them without adding unnecessary layers of stress. The practice is simple. Choose one activity today, whether it's brushing your teeth, making coffee, or folding laundry, and do it slowly with full attention. Notice how it changes your perception of time, tension, and satisfaction. Over weeks and months, these small, deliberate practices compound. Our nervous system learns that not everything is urgent, that our mind doesn't need to constantly anticipate, that our body can be fully here without fear. Anxiety doesn't vanish overnight, but our relationship with it transforms. We discover that even under pressure, even amid uncertainty, we can be fully alive, fully aware, and deeply present. Mindful actions and slow living aren't extra tasks. They are the foundation of a life where anxiety is no longer the master of your experience. Each deliberate breath, each intentional step, each conscious choice reconnects us to the present moment, the only true reality we ever inhabit. By embracing this pace, we discover clarity, calm, and the subtle joy that has always been there, waiting in plain sight. As we reach the final moments of today's journey, remember this. The goal is not to erase anxiety from your life. Anxiety is not an enemy to defeat. It is a messenger, a weather pattern in the sky of your mind. Storms will come, winds will howl, and clouds will gather. Yet through it all, you remain the sky, vast, open, and unshakable. Every time you notice your mind tensing, every time your heart races, take a breath and acknowledge it without judgment. Let curiosity guide you rather than resistance. The storms of anxiety may feel intense, but the power they hold comes not from the storm itself, but from the fear of it. When you stop battling what arises and instead observe with patience and presence, something extraordinary happens. The anxiety begins to soften, its grip loosens, and you discover an inner space that has always been there, waiting for you to recognize it. Commit to this practice daily, even in small moments. Choose to witness rather than control, to accept rather than resist. Over time, your nervous system learns a profound lesson. Life does not need to be perfect to be experienced fully. Anxiety will come and go, yet your presence, your clarity, and your capacity to respond with wisdom remain constant. Visualize yourself walking through a storm, rain pelting, winds pushing against you, but your feet steady on the path. The storm is real, yet you are not overwhelmed. You have learned to move with it rather than against it. Each step, each breath, is an act of mindfulness, an affirmation that you can navigate life's uncertainties without losing yourself. Now imagine carrying this awareness into your day-to-day life, facing challenges at work, unexpected conflicts, moments of self-doubt or fear. See them as passing weather patterns. You are the sky, limitless, capable of holding all experiences without being defined by them. The power of anxiety diminishes when you refuse to feed it with resistance, when you meet it with calm observation, when you anchor yourself in what is present. And so, this is your invitation. In the next moment, pause. Notice your breath. Observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Practice being fully present, even if only for a minute. Share your experiences, leave a reflection, or simply sit in awareness. By engaging with your mind in this way, you not only free yourself from unnecessary suffering, but also prepare the ground for deeper insights and peace to blossom in the videos to come. Remember, you are not your anxiety. You are the awareness in which it arises. You are the vast sky that holds every storm and every calm. And in this recognition, there is freedom, there is strength, and there is a gentle joy that belongs only to the present moment. Let that joy guide your steps, your actions, and your journey forward.